Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for coming before us today. I just want to do two quick clarifications on some of the questions that my colleagues asked. Number one, Congressman Green asked whether or not the Taliban was a terrorist organization. You said yes. I'm assuming you're referring to their listing as a specially designated global terrorist.
That's correct.
They're not on the foreign terrorist organization list, correct?
Thank you for clarifying that. That's correct.
And then Congresswoman Houlihan had asked earlier, you had answered part of this question, but you didn't get to one component of it. She was asking about why the deadline had been changed from September 11th, which it appears the Taliban had consented to and had acknowledged, to August 31st. And I didn't hear a response from you on that front.
The deadline that the Taliban repeatedly made clear that they were looking to was August 31st, and we got that in various ways, in various communications. And so, one risk, and you have to assess it, is had we pushed beyond that, what actions?
Secretary, certainly understand the risks of pushing for that August 31st deadline. I had initially believed that that was necessary, and then understood that the position we were in would not allow for that. But I want to also get at something that we had discussed earlier. You'd mentioned several times these emails that the State Department had sent to Americans who were in Afghanistan, warning them to leave. As somebody who was a civilian in Afghanistan, I remember getting alarmist emails from the State Department all the time. So I can also understand if they had a little bit of fatigue and being told the sky was falling. And I'm also sure there's maybe some changes to verbiage that maybe didn't come across as much. But I guess I'm a little bit challenged to square that with the delay that we saw from, as a member of the Honoring Our Promises working group on special immigrant visa applicants. We had reached out to the administration on April 21st, imploring, urging to clear the backlog. And I understand some logistical hurdles there. We worked to expedite and streamline the processes. But still, if we were so concerned that we were sending these grim emails that Americans should have received and left the country immediately, how come we weren't moving more quickly? Why did it take 99 days before the first charter flight took special immigrant visa applicants out?
Yeah, so two things, and of course, as you know, Congressman, because you know this so well, it's a complicated process. But two things very quickly. First of all, with regard to the American citizens that were there, the warnings were increasingly explicit, and we wanted to make sure to the best of our ability, because we were in a very volatile security situation, and we had an obligation first and foremost to any American citizens who were there to put them on notice and to strongly urge them to leave while there are clearly commercial means to do so. With regard to the special immigrant visa, and I know your commitment to this, which I deeply, deeply appreciate. Again, we were in a massive acceleration of the program starting from February, not from when when the government and security forces imploded. And we had a program, as we've discussed, that was pretty much in a dead stall. We had an executive order from the president on February 4th ordering us to improve it. We went from 100 visas a week to 1,000 a week from March to late July. So we were in the process of doing that. And then, of course, we put in place something that's not even called for, which was Operation Allies Refuge, which actually flew people out, which, as you know, is not part of the.
Of course, and I guess my deep regret is that it took so long, because obviously we had that concern, expressing it to citizens, but they're talking with folks behind the scenes and still understanding some of the procedural and logistical impediments. I wish we would have had that task force appointee earlier.
This is something we need to keep. I hope we can keep working on together going forward.
Secretary, I just also want to touch upon something you've mentioned multiple times, that some of the folks who were left behind are dual nationals. Do you make a distinction and prioritization between native-born American citizens by birth and those who are naturalized citizens?
We do not. It's really by means of explanation of why this decision is so hard for so many for some people, which is to say that especially in the case of dual nationals, often it's people whose entire life has been in Afghanistan. That's really what they know as home. And that just explains why literally people have been going back and forth. Do we want to leave? Do we not want to leave?
Well, and Mr. Secretary, in some of these cases, those individuals have maybe not a direct dependent, maybe not a wife or husband, maybe not a son or daughter, but they might have a brother or sister who's an SIV eligible or has had that approved, and those flights are being delayed. So please work to free the planes in Mazar-e Sharif, and I yield back my time.
Thank you.
Now recognize Representative Andy